All righty. Hey, everybody. This is Crystal Oliver with Budget Me Black. And today is Friday. So it's Financial Freedom Friday. And we're coming to you tonight. And I have Miss Dr. Daphne Rankin on the line with me tonight. Hey, Miss Daphne.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. So tonight, what we're going to talk a little bit about is establishing a business. A lot of people are making changes in their life, and we have had some folks come on. We had Brandis come on talk about cliff jumping. We had Tara to come on and talk about overcoming your fears. And so we've had a lot of people just coming in this summer and just giving us some real gems on how we can move forward in life. And so we have Miss Daphne coming on, and I'm gonna always just do a question answer format.
Okay.
So tonight we're just gonna do some questions and answers. And if you guys have additional questions, we can try to come on and answer those questions. But for now, I'm just gonna ask her the questions I already have that people have either sent in or that we came up with. And then if you have additional questions, feel free to ask those questions and we'll try to get those questions answered. So, Miss Daphne, the first question that always comes up, a lot of people they start a business, and we all have heard, LLC, get you an LLC, go get you, LLC. So we're like, okay, so what is that? What is an LLC?
So to answer your question, an LLC is a limited liability corporation, but there are different kinds of ways to start your business. So depending upon whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit or a for-profit business or a nonprofit organization, that kind of determines what formation you'll have for your business. So if you're a for-profit, you can be a sole proprietor. Which means you don't have to get, an EIN number. You are the only person that works for the business, and everything goes through you, and the income or the revenue that's generated through the business is reported on your income tax alone. You can have a partnership, which operates the same way as a sole proprietor does. You don't have to, there's not a lot of legality or formalities in that, and you both share in the profits and the losses of the business. Now, the limited liability corporation, you actually have to establish that through a state. An LLC or a corporation has to be established through your state, through the Secretary of State. There, you file what's called articles of incorporation, or they're sometimes known as a corporate charter. But those that would come through your Secretary of State. Now, and like I said, an LLC is a limited liability corporation, and then you can just have a regular corporation. And the distinction between the two is just that. For a limited liability corporation, you have limited responsibility as it relates to your personal assets and your personal taxation, as well as your personal liabilities. With a corporation, the corporation is solely responsible for the assets, the liabilities, and the revenue that's generated. A corporation, well, both an LLC and a corporation can actually function as just like an individual person, because you have to you start out by getting your, of course, you come up with your name, and then you need what's called an employer identification number, an EIN number, which you apply for through the Internal Revenue Service. And then once you have that, you can actually apply for your articles of incorporation through the Secretary of State, where here in Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, and I just use those three states because it's kind of, that tri-state area. Okay. Yeah.
So let's say that I decided that I came up with a great idea, right? Yes. And so I decide, hey, you know what? I have been doing this for a while. A lot of times, most people, they start their business based on something they've been doing for a while. They've been doing it for friends and for family members. And they say, you know what? I want to step out and I want to do this for other people. And so what are the basic things that I need to consider myself a business? So I've been doing this for a while. I might decide, hey, I'm going to go get me a business license. So what really makes me a business? What things need to be in
Well,
place?
let me back up just a little bit, if
Okay.
you will, Crystal, because every good idea is not always good for a business. And
Mhm.
so for a business, you have to have a passion for what you're doing, of course, but usually a business exists because it solves a problem for someone. Like
Mhm.
our grocery stores, they solve our problem for nutrition and food. Retail or clothing stores, they solve our problems for clothing so that we're not running out against the law of butt naked. You have other cleaning services for those people who don't have time to actually clean their homes and sanitize their homes, and you have businesses that actually do those things. So not only should you have a passion for it, but you need to solve a question, and do your research, do your homework, go out there and ask, how many other businesses are doing the same thing, or what distinguishes what I'm doing from what someone else is doing, and what question am I actually answering, or what problem will I be solving for people. That's the very, very first thing. And then after that, of course, I mentioned just a little while ago about the EIN number. You'll need an EIN number. And then you'll need to decide, what formation do I want? What am I comfortable with? I talked about the LLC and the regular corporation. I mean, there, even us, outside of that, though, no, not outside of those two, but the next step after that is, to consider what kind of taxation responsibilities, or what type of taxation liabilities do I want to avail myself to, or do I want to protect myself from? And that determines whether you should do an S corporation or a C corporation. An S corporation is everything is what we call like. And so all of your personal, all of the businesses, revenue, losses, and everything, you can actually claim on your personal taxes. And so that's what that's considered. And usually you have more than one person involved in, you have to have more than one person involved in a limited liability corporation, because what limits it is that people are invest at different levels. So someone may invest $1,000, someone may invest $500, and someone may say, well, I'm going to be a silent partner and I'll invest $5,000. And so your liability, what limits the liability, is the amount that you actually invest in the corporation. And so that the amount you invest, of course, it parallels to the amount of taxation you would be responsible for. And so with an S corporation, all of that passes through the business to the owners. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now with a regular corporation, a C corporation, none of that ever touches the owners, because the owners are not the people who actually founded the business, but they are the shareholders. Shareholders are the actual owners of a corporation. So I don't know, did I answer your question? Because I just kind of went on and talked and gave more information.
What you just explained is the difference between the LLC, okay,
yeah,
and the S corp and the C corp is based on taxation, right? Or
yes.
Right when I say that, so it's based on taxation. How you're taxed is how you want to be taxed, or how you determine as far as which corporation you want.
And
you
usually
want to establish.
So if I don't know, some people actually do what we call establish their corporations on their own, but they go to an accountant for the bookkeeping and the taxation and all of that, tax preparation and all that. And so usually your accountant is the one that's going to ask you, are you an S corp or a C corp? Because they want to know, how do I account for the revenue and the losses or the assets that have come through this business?
Right. So that's what, Derek and I have been, we have a corporation. And
Yes,
so what we had, like, you're right. So our accountant, when it was time, we established everything and we legitimized everything with you.
yes,
Our EIN and all of our articles of incorporation, stuff we didn't really know about. But then our accountant on the back end made sure that everything was, in terms of taxes and what we owe, that he really handled that for us.
yes,
So that's why it's very important. My sister was on here. It's very important to have an accountant and have someone that you can call even throughout the year.
yes,
Ask questions about, like, how do I pay myself, or how do I make sure that I'm paying taxes ahead of time? And so taking care of all of that stuff, making sure you have the right people in place so that you
yes.
don't get caught up at the end of the year. So
Yeah, and so
all of it is important to know.
yeah, so and with that, I'd like to add, with basically forming a nonprofit or a for-profit business is exactly the same. Where you begin to differ is in your governance. And so again, like I said, the owners of a regular corporate of a for-profit corporation are its shareholders. But for a nonprofit organization, you have to establish a board of directors, and that board of directors governs basically how that nonprofit organization will run. And so you always want to have people on your board of directors who can offer services to you that you as a new business won't have to pay for. So you want to have someone who is either an attorney or who has legal knowledge. You want to have someone who is an accountant. You want to have someone who is in marketing, or and then someone who's actually in finance or fundraising. So those are people that you definitely want to have, or encircle yourself with when you're thinking about running a business, because each of them will bring a different dynamic to explaining and well, not even explaining, but ensuring that your business is a success.
Good. That's really good to know. It's surrounding yourself, especially with a nonprofit, and that way you have those people in place that can support you from day
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Good. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of starting your own business?
Oh goodness, there are so many. Let's see. Well, of course, the obvious advantage to running your own business is that you're your own boss. You determine what time you come in. You determine what days you work. You determine what your income is going to be or what your pay is going to be. However, the problem with being your own, starting your own business is you have to be the one that actually makes sure everything is done. Everything falls on your shoulders. So that can be kind of weighty. And so that might be a disadvantage to have all of that responsibility. Then depending on exactly what service or what good you're offering, you might need employees. So then you're responsible for someone else's livelihood. So that's a double-edged sword there, because it's good to be able to offer people jobs, but then on the other hand, it's a heavy responsibility to have the weight of someone else's family or the welfare of someone else's family based on their income, on your shoulders as well. Then just not having proper skill set would be a disadvantage. And you have to be honest with yourself. What are my skills? Because usually if you are, if you're wanting to start a business, or if you are offering, particularly if you're offering a good or service, your focus or your passion is actually doing that thing and not actually running the business. So you need someone who's familiar with actual operations of business, or businesses, I should say. So there are a lot of advantages, and I just gave you a few, but there are a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages.
That's good. You talked about if you are a nonprofit putting those people in place, you know, like have you up somebody on your board that's an accountant or event planner or a lawyer.
Yes,
So
yes.
same stands true if you are a for-profit. You need to have people in place that can do the things that, like you said, that you don't know how to do or you don't like to do.
Yes, yes.
So
More,
even if you,
yeah, that you
go
don't like to
ahead.
do.
So
But
even
one
if you
thing
have
that,
to contract those people out, you don't
yeah,
necessarily have to hire them, but you need to have people in place that you can call and say, hey, I need help with this or whatever. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
no, actually, that was just it. You know, I would recommend that you always have someone that you can actually bounce ideas and questions off of. And don't be afraid. I mean, if you don't have this skill set, it's okay. It's perfectly fine because we weren't designed to have all of it, you know, I mean,
Right, right,
anyway. But yeah, so it's okay to ask for help.
right, right. So, you know, it goes back to like the accounting and the bookkeeping. So you might be the best house cleaner in the city, but you know, you need to have somebody that
Yes,
can help you with that bookkeeping and certain things. So that's good.
yes, yes.
How do I know if running a business is right for me? You know.
Ooh. Well, so there are a lot of things that you can think about. So there you want to first off determine, you know, are you able to, because whenever a business initially starts, there's going to be a getting up or getting started type of period is what I would call it. And so your income or the revenue generated by the business, you have to determine whether that's going to be enough to support you, or if you've saved enough money to actually be able to do this and this alone. If not, then you want to consider maybe just starting out slowly, you know, kind of on a part-time basis. I mean, it's really personal. It's, you know, I can't say it's X, Y, and Z, and that's going to apply to everybody. It's a very, you know, whether you should start your own business is something that's very personal, and it depends on, you know, the number one thing is your financial status and whether you'll be able to maintain the standard of living that you're comfortable with or that supports your family, or if you're okay to make some sacrifices and to kind of go into what I would call a do without stage for a short period of time.
Right. It just depends on your level, you know, your level
Level of
of,
comfort.
yeah, your level of comfort. And if you are, you know, some people are extreme risk takers, and so they'll jump out and they have a lot of faith. They're gonna jump out. And then some of us, we kind of take, like you said, we take it slowly, you know, and then
Yeah,
kind of build while we're still working. And so
yeah,
we're building up until, you know, until we get to a place where, you know, like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this full time. So yeah, that's
yeah,
a
yes,
what is
yeah.
the difference? You talked a little bit about nonprofits, you know, and so we've heard this word nonprofits and not for profit. What is the difference between nonprofit and not for profit?
So a nonprofit is an actual organization. It's a corporation that has to be formed through your state. A not-for-profit is it's only an event. It's an event that supports a nonprofit organization or supports a cause. Like for instance, a 5K run. That's an event that supports a cause. I think the Susan G. Komen 5K. That's a not-for-profit event that supports the nonprofit organization of Susan G. Komen.
Okay, okay. So, you know,
Yes.
I've been working with nonprofit organizations for a long time. I did not know the answer to that. No clue.
Yes.
This has been
Yes.
really good. You know, I know that on these videos, we cannot answer everything that we want to answer, but one of the things that I do want people to know is how they can get in touch with you. And so I know my sister started a nonprofit last year and she's doing amazing.
Amazing.
And then
Amazing.
we started a couple of businesses. My oldest sister, like everybody, I know several people that have used you to help them establish their business.
Yes.
And so a lot of us, we're talking about legitimizing everything, getting that EIN, getting that business license, the articles of incorporation. I'm sure you help Brandis like develop her board and do some other things.
Bylaws, yes.
How do people get in touch with you?
Okay, awesome. So I do have a website and it's called agapegroupconsulting.com. We're also on Facebook at, I think our handle is the Agape Group.
Okay.
And we're on Instagram and we're on LinkedIn. Now, you can also phone at area code 678-390-5544, or you can email us at info@agapegroupconsulting.com.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Miss Daphne. I know,
it's been my pleasure. I hope I was able to help somebody.
You were. I think, just a lot of time, we have these very short conversations. And so there's so much more to everything that we're talking about. And so I just wanted to give people enough so that they can say, you know what, I'm interested in that. I need to call Miss Daphne, or I need to call Budget Me Black.
Yes, that would be better. Yeah, so they can call me to get established, and then they can call you to help them set their budget for their businesses.
Absolutely.
Because businesses need budgets too.
Yes. And so we have been doing that. I actually get that question a lot. And so one of the things that we have been doing is helping people establish their personal finances. And that's our focus, personal finances.
Yeah.
And we've been offering some courses. We do have a course coming up in October called Marriage, Money, and Mission. And we have some fun things for the fall around marriage and money. So we're excited about that. But you can always reach us at budgetmeblack.com or info@budgetmeblack.com, and we'll gladly answer your questions or support you. Y'all already know that we are here to serve. And so thank you so much, Miss Daphne. Y'all reach out to her. Y'all reach out to her and she'll help you get started. She's helped so many of my friends and family get started. And I feel like everybody is moving. Everybody I know that you have helped is like going full on.
Yes. And you know what was so special for me? A lot of the mutual friends, or I call them my friends now, that we have, a lot of them actually stepped out during the pandemic. And that was awesome because, it gave people an opportunity. This is one of the silver linings of the pandemic. It gave people an opportunity to do things that they probably never would have done before. Right. And so I'm so proud. There's so many small businesses, Black-owned small businesses too, that have just done so well over this past year. And I'm so excited about it.
I love it. And you're right. I've seen so many people, establish their business and move forward in this season. So I'm so grateful for it. And so thank you again for joining me tonight. And thank y'all for joining us tonight. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.